In fall of 21, Warp and Woolens met Evelyn Whitley, a shepherdess from Mustang, Oklahoma, in Hays, Kansas, to pick up 20 of her fleeces for hand spinners in Colorado. Evelyn's known for her award-winning fleeces at events like Colorado's Estes Park Wool Market. Now in her 90s, Evelyn graciously consented to be interviewed and tell her story of raising sheep for their wool. We hope you enjoy. Hi all, Mark from Warp and Woolens, coming to you live from Hays, Kansas, where we're making a road trip to meet Evelyn Whitley, shepherdess extraordinaire, who's kindly brought us nearly 20 fleeces from her home in Mustang, Oklahoma. So Evelyn, thank you so much for bringing us these beautiful fleeces. We have a whole group of hand spinners in Colorado that are very excited to get a chance to see and spin with your fleeces.
I'm so glad.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you do and how long you've been doing it, and what excites you about raising sheep for hand spinners?
Well, I've always liked to knit. And over the years, I started young, and over the years I find that the woolens are not available. People have invented miracle fabrics that they don't have to hand wash, and so you go to buy a skein of wool and there's nothing but acrylic there. So I really looked around a lot, and I'd always buy the best I could buy, expensive generally, and then I get home and I wouldn't be happy with it. And I say, oh, if only I could get, just what I want. So my husband suggested one day, well, if you could raise your own, you could get just what you want. And I said, yeah, that's an idea. And he said, let's try it. Let's try it now before we're ready to retire. And if we like it, we'll do it in our retirement. And I said, that's wonderful. So we did.
Well, we're so glad you decided to. I've had a chance to see the beautiful samples that you prepped for us. And good Lord, almost 20 fleeces. It was no problem at all talking people into trying these out. I know locally at the Estes Park Wool Market, folks might remember your award-winning fleeces over the years there. And I am very excited to get to try spinning some of these.
Oh, I think you'll like it. I think you'll get a kick out of it, especially one particular one that you have asked for. She is just gorgeous and feels so good. I think you're going to enjoy that one a lot.
Well, and I know just looking at the beautiful long staple length and crimp and how soft they are, what are some of the breeds of sheep that...
See, I started out with very soft sheep. I started out with Rambouillet and Merino. The only trouble is, in those days, you were lucky if the staple was longer than this, which made it a little hard to learn to spin and learn to fight the short staple. So I started bringing in other sheep with longer wools and crossing them with the Merino and the Rambouillet. So I got long, soft, and that was nice. That was perfect. And then I don't know what hit me, but I decided to try Teeswater, which is from England. A lot of people are familiar with Teeswater. And in England, they had hoof and mouth disease that year, and no live animals were allowed to come in. So they brought in semen. And it took years for them to crossbreed until they came up with as pure as they could get, which wasn't 100%, but it was almost 100%. And I don't know whether any of your audience will be familiar with Roy and Myrtle Dow, but they were very well known in the business. And they pushed a lot of us to try the Teeswater and keep them going, because these people in England had to put down all of their wonderful old flocks. So the Teeswater really caught on, and I bought from them. I bought a wonderful Teeswater, and that started me going with long wool. Wow, was it long!
So what a wonderful idea, blending the Teeswater and its beautiful staple length with the softer breeds. You know, having touched some of those samples, I'm amazed at the beautiful staple length and the crimp in that, together with how soft it feels. Like it's definitely going to be next to skin soft when it's spun up.
Well, it's very silky feeling, but I guess according to the people who do the grading, it's a much larger denier, the thickness, than a Merino, for instance, which is still gorgeous. I found one, though, a short while ago, and I'm dying to get my hands on one if I can. It's called a Cormo, and it is just gorgeous and so soft. And I remember seeing one years ago at Estes Park, as a matter of fact, a woman who was a stewardess. She was an airline stewardess, and she only had 2 sheep. And she came with her prize fleece. She was so proud of it. But she didn't know how to put it in the bag so that it really showed itself well. And she was sort of showing the dirty side. And I saw it and I said, that looks lovely, but you really should turn it around. She said, I don't understand what you mean. I said, well, come over to this table and we'll take it out of the bag and I'll show you. And we turned it over so that the fluffy side showed, the cut side showed. And I was dumbfounded. It was so gorgeous. I said, this is the most beautiful fleece I've ever seen. And I never could get a hold of a cormo. They're evidently from a foreign nation, and they don't have many of them in this country. But she won the grand championship that day.
Well, it's sure good that you came along to help her present her fleece for the judges.
Yeah, wasn't that silly of me? I took second place.
Well, you'll have the last laugh if you are able to raise cormo. Do you think you'll be raising cormo or crossbreeding them, or what are your intentions?
I don't know. I think if I get a male, I probably won't crossbreed. With a female, I always like to get the babies, but with a male, I don't have to breed them if I don't want to.
I see.
Yeah, so I may just keep him and keep the cormo pure.
Well, we're sure excited to see some of those fleeces come the day. So
yes,
we wish you the best of success with that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're doing this. I hope more young people get interested in spinning. It's a lost art, and every once in a while when a bunch of kids from the neighborhood come down to see my babies, I'll give them little samples, and the girls all love it. And so we've got a lot of little young neighbors who are trying to learn how to spin now.
That's just wonderful. And you know, with our new channel, Warp and Woolens, exploring fibercraft in the Rocky Mountain West, one of our main missions at Warp and Woolens is help to introduce these wonderful heritage craft to a new generation, and to make it accessible and make it easy for people who would like to get started to understand how easy it really is that they could be spinners too. You're our first interview on the channel. We're delighted to get to start off with you today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
And thanks so much for driving all this way to bring us these beautiful fleeces.
Well, my right-hand man came and helped me. This is Oscar.
A shout out to Oscar for bringing her out for us. And I'd like to give a shout out to our friends back at Longmont Hand Spinners and Maggie Casey from Shuttle Spindles and Skeins. I know you guys are excited to get a chance to see these fleeces. So we were intrigued by the name of the sheep when we saw the fleeces, and I understand there's a story about Hoff?
Oh, yes, it's funny. When my daughter was in high school, she had a good friend who was in the music business like she was. And he went on to Hollywood when he graduated and became a well-known songwriter and arranger and music master, I guess you'd call him. And his name was Mark Barone. And the fellow who found him and decided that he's my music master was Mr. Hasselhoff. Do you remember Hasselhoff, the actor?
I do. David Hasselhoff, famous from
right.
What was the name of that series?
Baywatch.
Baywatch. Well, before that, he was known for driving a car around. Knight Rider. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
We'll edit that out
yeah.
too. Just
so
saying.
Anyway, he is well known in Europe and beloved in Germany. So Mark Barone played the piano for him, got bands together for him and all of that, and they became great friends. And he always talked about he and Hoff were going here and there, because in Germany they always called Hasselhoff.
Called him Hoff.
The Hoff.
The Hoff.
The Hoff. So when these 2 babies were born, they were twin boys, and Shelley was on the phone with Mark Barone, and she said, oh, I'm going to turn my phone around and see if you can see these 2 babies. They were just born, and I think they're so cute. We're going to name one of them after you. And he said, oh, well, you better name the other one after the Hoff. So that is how it ended up, Mark and the Hoff.
That's wonderful.